In this video, I'm going to somehow, some way, rank every single mythic assault rifle in Fortnite history from worst to best. This list is absolutely stacked with not only some of the best assault rifles in Fortnite history, just some of the best weapons in the game's history, and I can confidently say this is the hardest ranking video I've ever had to do. Before we get into this, I have a couple points to make, right? So number one, no drum guns on this list. I know they are classified as both SMGs and ARs, but since I already ranked them in my every mythic SMG list, you should go check out that video if you want to see me rank those weapons specifically. Number two, there will be no minigun or flapjack rifle on this list. These are technically considered assault rifles, but right, we both know these are not assault rifles, they are LMGs, and so I will not include them on this list. And finally, at number three, I'm not including any reality sapling mythic ARs. You know, they're not really any different than their base counterparts. You know, you can just add like 1 damage, and so I just wanted to leave them off this list entirely, as I do with most of the other mythic weapon categories. But all right, with all that out of the way, be sure to like and subscribe. Use code TYFRYZ in the Fortnite item shop if you go on to enjoy this video. And without further ado, let's get into it. At number 23, the worst mythic assault rifle in the game's history, it is going to be the First Order Blaster Rifle. What a just all-around horrible weapon. It is no surprise that it is in last place on this list, especially when you see how good the weapons will be that are a little bit higher up. I mean, just horrible accuracy, horrible damage, just everything about it is bad, and easily my last place pick. And right ahead of it at number 22 is the E11 Blaster Rifle. These two are like two peas in a pod. They're basically the exact same weapon. The E11 is a little bit better in terms of, you know, damage, fire rate, all that good stuff, but just nowhere near enough of a difference to put it any up higher. This weapon, again, is really, really bad. And would you look at this, another Star Wars weapon right here at number 21. That is the DC-15 Blaster Rifle. I will say this weapon is considerably better than the two I just mentioned, but not really by much. Slow bullet travel time, good damage, but everything about this weapon just feels slow and clunky, and not for me, and honestly not for many other people as well. Again, these three being down here should not be a surprise whatsoever. At number 20 is going to be Huntmaster Saber's thermal assault rifle from, I believe it was chapter 3 season 2, right? And this is where, okay, the weapons start getting okay. They're decent, they're not great, they are definitely not horrible, but they're usable in some situations. By some situations, I mean really only one, and Huntmaster Saber's thermal AR is really good at those longer ranges, right? It's got low recoil, you can really spam that fire rate, but you know, only 15 bullets before you gotta reload. You're gonna be reloading every other second. I do see the appeal of this weapon. I do see why people would use it, but not for me. And overall, again, it just doesn't stand up to any of the absolute titans that are ahead of it. And at my number 19 spot is actually two weapons. They have the exact same stats. It is High-Card's Havoc Suppressed Assault Rifle and Heart's Havoc Suppressed Assault Rifle. Again, I just really don't understand why these are two separate weapons. They are the exact same thing, same damage, DPS, fire rate, all of it. I just don't really understand what people love about this weapon. Every time I make a video about it, there are people that just hate me for always ranking it so low. It is not a good weapon. A DPS of 150 for a fully auto assault rifle is horrible. Like, that is really, really bad, especially for the fire rate on this thing. You're just not getting enough damage. I don't really care that it has a suppressor. Like, I really don't value the suppressor that much. It really does feel like I'm just shooting marshmallows when I use this weapon. And you know what? It's not a good weapon. I'm just gonna say it. It's not good. Moving up to number 18, that is Montague's Nemesis AR. Again, I have had this battle on YouTube in my comment section for months now about how I think the Nemesis AR is just a clunky, slow, and not great assault rifle. And of course, I think the exact same about Montague's Nemesis AR. And there are just people who will back this weapon with their life, say, you know what, you're just not good. Hit your shots. The Nemesis can be really good. You know what? I'm just Striker gang, right? I think the Striker was just so much better than the Nemesis in chapter 5 season 1 in every single regard. Especially Montague's Nemesis AR with the P2X optic feels a lot more like a DMR than an assault rifle. And I think if you treat it as such, you'll find that you'll have a little bit more luck using this weapon, but I do still feel like this is a lackluster assault rifle and one of the worst mythics in chapter 5 season 1, if not the worst. Anyways, at number 17, I've got Relic's MK Alpha assault rifle from chapter 4 season 3, and again, I just don't understand what the point of this weapon is. Like, why just copy the MK7 assault rifle? I mean, it's literally in the name MK Alpha, but just make it worse. Like, obviously you knew that this weapon was going to get criticism because it's the same weapon but just worse. What I will say is, though, like red dot sight weapons, they are typically very easy to control. This weapon, while it does have a little bit more recoil, is slower fire rate. And this is another weapon that, okay, I do see a little bit of appeal to. And obviously, it's very tough for me to not compare it to the Foundation's MK7, which just blows it out of the water. Of course, that is the mythic version of the MK7. But it's natural, you know, to just kind of think that because they are kind of the same weapon in terms of what they're trying to be. It's just the Foundation's MK7 performs so much better. At number 16 is the Enhanced Fury AR, of course, from the most recent season in Chapter 6. I actually really hate to put this weapon this low on the list because I actually really like it. I think it just gets outshined by the Hollow Twister. This version gives you a faster fire rate, and in case you didn't see, I actually did upload a video where I rank every single enhanced weapon, so of course go check that video out if you want to hear me talk more and deeper in depth about the enhanced Fury AR. Moving on to number 15 is going to be Ares Warforged Assault Rifle, and honestly, the fact that this is at the number 15 spot and there are 14 better Mythic Assault Rifles just goes to show how stacked this list is, because by no means is this assault rifle bad at all, and I think this is the point of the list where you're starting to get into some really solid Mythic items at range. They are all going to destroy no matter what. Obviously, Ares Warforged AR gets a little bit tainted when you look back at it because nobody really wanted the medallion, of course, his aspect of combat, I believe it was called, and so for that reason, nobody really ended up going to fight Ares and in turn get this weapon. I mean, in Chapter 5 Season 2 alone, there was just such a more dominant weapon. I'm thinking Cerberus's Gatekeeper shotgun and that medallion. Everybody wanted that, of course. I actually don't like the base Warforged AR, but the attachments that come with Ares version make it a lot better of an option. At number 14, and I can't believe I'm saying this, it is the Herald's Burst Assault Rifle. This weapon is an absolute machine. The fact that it's at number 14, I mean, guys, you have to stay until the end of this video to see the weapons that are ahead of it, because this weapon is an absolute tank. And I do think that there is an argument that this weapon should maybe be a little bit higher, maybe more closer to the other bursts on this list. And while it doesn't do nearly as much damage as the other bursts that you'll find here, the fire rate is absolutely incredible. I mean, the bullets just come flying out of this thing, and the delay between bursts is not long at all. It does crazy structure damage at 40 a shot, so that means obviously one burst can take out an entire fully built wood wall. I mean, that is just insane. This weapon is so good, and I personally absolutely love it. At number 13 is Meowscles Piao Piao Rifle, of course, originally in Chapter 2, Season 2. This is the mythic version of the AK, and boy does this thing pack a punch. This thing does some beefy damage, 44 damage a shot, and of course that comes at the trade-off of accuracy. There is a ton of bloom if you're going to fully auto this weapon. You're better off just tap firing and hitting 44 over and over again. At that point, you just hit somebody 3 times and all of their health is gone. It is such a good assault rifle. The only thing that holds it back, in my opinion, is just a little slow and clunky feeling. That bloom can really come back to bite you, but I really just can't harp on it too much. It is a great assault rifle. At number 12, I've got Sloan's Pulse Rifle, which is doing 38 damage at the hip and 57 when you're aiming down sights. I mean, almost 60 damage a shot for an assault rifle is just beyond insane. Now, obviously, that comes with fire rate differences, so of course, the ADS, you're going to have a terribly slow fire rate at 2.1. I mean, just put that into perspective, the Sentinel Pump Shotgun has a fire rate of 0.85. So, right, just think about that in your head. That is a terribly slow fire rate, but you are rewarded with big time damage. It's just, if you don't hit your shots, if you don't hit the first, 3 or 4, you're going to be caught out. Of course, that fire rate is doubled to 4.2 when you hit fire, but you're doing less damage. But I say less, you're doing 38. That's over Legendary Scar damage. This weapon and my number 11 spot being outside of the top 10 should just show how good the Mythic Assault Rifle category is and why this list was so hard to make. At that number 11 spot is Ocean's Burst Assault Rifle, and for the time, Chapter 2, Season 3, there was a time when I think you could make the argument this was the best assault rifle we ever saw. Now, clearly, given my ranking, that is not the case anymore. There have been better burst assault rifles, but Ocean's has aged pretty well, I would argue. It's a 2-round burst that does 39 damage, and keep those numbers in the back of your head because it is not the only 2-round burst weapon that does 39 damage that we'll see on this list. The only thing that they really differ in is fire rate, magazine size, and reload time, and I'll let you know what that weapon is when we get there. At number 10 is going to be Sloan Striker Burst Rifle. This is the one with the red dot from Chapter 3, Season 2. Do not get it confused with Sloan's Burst Assault Rifle from Chapter 2, Season 8. Again, I just don't know why all these weapons use the same weapon model. They couldn't have just created a new, different looking weapon, so it's a little bit confusing. I understand that. But this is the red dot version from Chapter 3, Season 2, and just like the majority of the assault rifles on this list, you are talking serious damage. It does 35 damage a shot, and of course, while that is less than 39 that Ocean's does, you get the red dot sight, which means you can be perfectly accurate, whereas with Ocean's Burst, you still do have to take into account bloom, particularly on that second follow-up shot and other, bursts that follow. Honestly, it really is that red dot for me that puts it higher than Ocean's Burst, but I could see why you would want to switch these spots here. And okay, at number 9 is going to be Sloan's Burst Assault Rifle from Chapter 2, Season 8. This is the other 2-round burst assault rifle that does 39 damage, but let's compare it to Ocean's Burst. They are actually very similar weapons, right? Especially in their damage. They do the same damage, 39, but the magazine size is somewhere where they differ. Sloan's Burst AR only has 21 bullets before you have to reload, whereas Oceans has 30. So of course Oceans wins there. But Sloan's beats Oceans in a fire rate, right? And that's massive because this is what increases your DPS, what ultimately makes you kill faster. The fire rate here is 4.58, whereas with Oceans you're looking at around 3.5, so about a second difference. Sloan's also has a quicker reload time, but not by much. I think it's 0.10 seconds, and they do the exact same structure damage. So you can see why they are ranked so close together. They are so similar, but since they do the same damage, the one stat that is so important is fire rate, and Sloan's burst assault rifle has a faster fire rate, giving it a faster DPS, and in my opinion, making it better than Ocean's burst. And at number 8 is Emma Frost Striker Burst AR from Chapter 5, Season 4. I promise you, this is the final of the burst weapons on this list. I just wanted to keep them all together because they honestly do all perform so similar. And to me, I see this weapon as such a great middle ground between the 35 damage Striker Burst AR we just talked about and the 39 damage Ocean and Sloan's Burst AR. This does 37 damage here, so less damage than those two I just named, but you also get the red dot sight. So again, it is just such a perfect middleman weapon. A fire rate of 4.8 though just blows those weapons out of the water for the most part. You can be so incredibly accurate, and when you pair it up with the reveal medallion, yeah, that is a dirty combo. That is going to get work done, absolutely, and I think this weapon deserves to be within the top 10. And all right, the rest of the weapons on this list will be fully autos, and I think you could make the argument that any of the next 7 weapons I talk about could be at the number 1 spot. That is just how insane the Mythic Assault Rifle category is. But at the number 7 spot is the Machinist Combat AR from Chapter 5, Season 3. 25 damage with a fire rate of 8.8. That equates to a DPS of 220. I mean, how insane is it for a weapon with a DPS that high to be at number 7? It's got beautiful attachments. You get a red eye sight, a drum mag vertical foregrip, and a suppressor. And I know some people will make the argument, you know, it is easier to control than the previous version of the Combat Assault Rifle. You do still have to battle that recoil, and honestly, that's the only thing that brings it a little bit down on this list. It is just so hard to find something to complain about. Like, I'm being real nitpicky here. You guys gotta understand that. In my opinion, it was clearly the best assault rifle in Chapter 5, Season 3. At number 6 is Sky's Assault Rifle from Chapter 2, Season 2. I mean, look, it is a mythic version of one of the best assault rifles of all time, the Scar, of course. Do I really have to say anything more? 37 damage, a DPS of 222, of course, just beating out the Machinist Combat Assault Rifle, but that's not all that matters here. You know, you do still have to take into account bloom that happens with this weapon. This is one of those weapons where you literally don't have to carry anything else. You don't have to carry a shotgun. You don't have to carry a sniper. You don't have to carry an SMG. This weapon does all of it. Just run around with her grappler and this weapon and you're good. You could probably just win the game using those 2 weapons only. This is truly an unbelievable assault rifle, and at the time in Chapter 2, Season 2 was definitely the best assault rifle we had ever seen. Moving on to number 5, that's going to be the remake of Sky's Assault Rifle. It's Ice Spice's rifle from Chapter 2 Remix. In terms of stats, it functions identically in every single aspect to Sky Scar. Same DPS, damage, magazine size, fire rate, literally all of it is exactly the same, but you get the added bonus of when you hit somebody with this weapon, you get the hot pepper effect, you get the quick movement speed, and literally for that reason only, that is why it is ahead of Sky's Assault Rifle. In every other regard, they are exactly the same, and that is why they are back to back on this list. But you know, it's not a bad thing to mimic Sky's Assault Rifle. These are 2 great assault rifles. At number 4, I've got Nisha's Striker AR from Chapter 5, Season 1, and you know what? Honestly, I feel like this weapon didn't really get the love it deserved. I think everybody was just so infatuated with Oscar's Frenzy Auto Shotgun that nobody really gave this one a chance. A DPS of 235 is absolutely unreal. That is some of the higher DPSs for any assault rifle in the game's history. I mean, just let that sink in here. Got a ridiculous fire rate of 8.1, and the only reason it's not higher is because it does have a tad bit more recoil that is kind of unpredictable and hard to control. Now, obviously, you do get some attachments to help you combat that. You get a red eye sight, but if this weapon had, for example, a vertical foregrip instead of an angled foregrip and a drum mag instead of a speed mag, I think this weapon would have been so much better. But again, like, you can tell I'm really being nitpicky here. I've glazed this weapon in the past, so I'll stop talking about it now, but this is just a great weapon. I mean, I don't know what else to say. At number 3 is Chapter 6's Enhanced Hollow Twister AR. Again, I will keep this brief because I did just make a video yesterday about every enhanced weapon, so again, go check that video out if you want to hear me talk about it more in depth. I think this is a weapon that, honestly, most of you guys watching this video probably expected to be this high up. There has been a ton of buzz in the community about, like, just how good this weapon is and where it does rank in terms of all-time Fortnite weapons. It really is just that good. And while the DPS is lower than some of the more recent weapons I just talked about, this one is sitting around 200. It's really just the ease of use with this weapon. It feels easy to use. It feels easy to hit your shots. It has, like, literally no recoil. Everything about it just feels great. And, you know, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. It definitely deserves to be up here within the top 3. At number 2 is one of the most dominant weapons we've ever seen in this game. It is the the Foundation's MK7 assault rifle in this weapon's peak. And let me know if you guys at some point want me to make a video talking about some of Fortnite's best weapons before they got nerfed. I mean, this has to be number one. It was so good, and they tried to nerf it over and over again. Nerf the fire rate, nerf the damage, nerf everything, and still to this day, it stands as one of the best assault rifles ever. And similar to the Hollow Twister, it just feels easy to use this weapon, and that's saying a lot because this weapon has a fire rate of 9.5. That's absolutely bonkers for an assault rifle, and for it to have a fire rate that fast, a magazine size of 35, and still be so easy to control just goes to show why this weapon really is so beloved by so many people. It was so difficult for me to not put it at the number one spot, but there was just a weapon that to me clearly stood out as the best mythic assault rifle of all time. In my opinion, that weapon is the overclocked pulse rifle from Chapter 4 Season 2. This should not come as a surprise. If you played in Chapter 4 Season 2, you will know how scary and how powerful this weapon is. This is one of the only weapons in Fortnite history, I would say, that literally has the ability to just inject straight fear into you. If you hear somebody hip firing this weapon, just please run. It has a damage of 38 with a DPS of almost 240 in the hip fire. If someone jumps in your box and they're hip firing, you should just leave the game because you're not going to stand a chance. And the fact that this weapon was also in the same season as the enhanced Havoc pump shotgun, like Chapter 4 Season 2 was just a fever dream. Hopefully you'll see it in the gameplay. Like, you can just walk into people's boxes. You don't have to try and take their wall. You don't have to try and get all fancy. Just hold it out in the hip fire and just literally walk in and destroy everybody. It plays like an SMG at close range, but at long range, it plays like an AR because it has no bloom. It always has first shot accuracy all the time. 50 meters, 100 meters, 150 meters away, you are going to always hit them as long as you are accurate, and you are hitting them with 57 damage a shot. I don't even think I need to say any more. I think this is the best mythic assault rifle in Fortnite history. It is such a dominant weapon. All right, guys, well, if you stayed till the end of this video, thank you so much. Obviously, this list was so hard to make. You guys can hear me even while I'm recording, sometimes going back and forth between my picks. And so let me know what you guys thought in the comment section down below, what your list would look like and what picks you would change, because again, there is no right or wrong way to rank these weapons. It's all our own opinions. Please, if you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe. We're pushing for 100,000 subscribers. But with all that being said, I will catch you guys in the next one. As always, peace.